Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to rank and show you the top weapons in Halo Infinite. Keep in mind this is as of the Halo Infinite technical preview beta. Now of course the weapons will differ, of course, in their performance, depends on the map, the different game mode, but we're going to take everything into account and try to kind of build something that allows us to see which weapons actually perform best in Halo Infinite. And of course, last thing, this is based on my experience and my point of view. Of course, if you have a different opinion, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below and tell us which weapon you prefer and why. So without further ado, let's begin. Well, the worst or the last in our list is this plasma pistol. Now this weapon, as you can see, has low damage and the ability to burst is nice in order to strip shielded targets. However, overall, I just felt that by the time you get to eliminate the enemy with this, well, you'll be long gone. It felt more like a support weapon where you kind of focus to take the shield down and hopefully other of your teammates will actually eliminate the target fast. But with a slow charge and low damage, overall it just felt very much lacking. A potato weapon. But who knows, maybe we're gonna see this weapon buffed when the game is released.
Shields? Ha!
Next in our list is the Skewer, which is described as kinetic weapon that shoots a single high damage spike. That means that you can even eliminate enemies by just shooting to their body, or even if enemies are shielded. So it's a kind of a sniper rifle. It has low ammo, but again, if you shoot to the body, you get it done, compared to a sniper rifle we need to do headshot in order to eliminate an enemy. But overall, for such tight maps, of course there will be other maps that might be more useful. Again, with low amount of ammo, this is kind of a very situational weapon. In certain situation, if you get a kill, great. But again, just felt lacking overall. Reload time, as you can see, it's not fast, but not super slow either. Overall, not exciting, but a nice and fun weapon to play with. Think differently? Let me know in the comment section below why you think this weapon is better.
No scope. Hostile cutback. No scope. Killing spree. Skewer inbound. No scope.
Next in our list is the shock rifle. Well, the shock rifle described as this: semi-automatic rifle intended to support from long distance projectiles arc on impact to damage nearby targets. Now this is a type of weapon that just feels that, it's a weapon that doesn't know what it wants to be. Now of course the weapon looks cool and shoots really cool with this electrified damage, but overall it just felt that the performance and the reliability of this weapon just doesn't stack up against other weapons. So this is why it didn't get high points, and I played with it quite a lot in the technical preview. Now keep in mind, don't judge this by the video, but the gameplay, because again this was just us to testing the mechanics, so it can be some more information accurate when testing the weapons.
An electric kill.
Having said that, this is possible.
Double kill.
So one shot, got 2 enemies. Nice. Next one is the SM41 SPNKr, or just SPNKr. Well, this is a twin tube shoulder mounted launcher that fires explosive rockets. Unlike the Skewer, well, here you don't need to be super accurate and you can deal massive damage and easily eliminate lots of enemies, even a group of enemies together. Super powerful. Now the reload speed is slow, but this is a type of weapon that you want to, you're gonna use. You only have a few shots and you try to maximize the damage as much as possible, preferably to a large group of enemies. Overall, very powerful, but again, it's still very situational, and again, you can easily be taken out while in between shots.
Not much ammo left, Spartan. Power items en route.
Next one is the gravity hammer. Sorry, I don't have any other image for this, but you can see it here in front of you. Probably the most fun weapon to play in the game. It's just amazing, but this is a melee weapon. You need to be very close to your enemies. But again, it's so devastating, even if you don't aim directly towards enemies. So it's even in that aspect better than a shotgun, and you can even eliminate enemies with just one hit. Even shielded ones are not safe. That being said, although it's a good melee weapon, it's not that versatile, of course, and depends, of course, on the map, very situational. Most of the time, you're probably going to expose yourself and die, unless you kind of focus on just, getting to a place where you can actually hide and surprise your enemies. It's a really fun weapon, but in terms of versatility, well, it's lacking. In some maps, maybe in some maps that we haven't seen yet, it can be very powerful. Overall, a fun weapon, but again, lacking lots of versatility.
Running riot.
Alright, next in our list is the Ravager. It's described as this burst firing weapon that fires globs of punishing plasma. And although it was one of my favorite weapons in the previous beta, and I think it's still cool, but keep in mind that in kind of medium, of course, and longer range, when enemies are moving horizontally, it will be harder for you to hit them. But that being said, it does deal splash damage based on what I tried. So it's kind of a weapon for newbies, and you can eliminate enemies with 2 shots with this. But as you can see here, when enemies are moving horizontally, it's not easy to actually eliminate them. And of course, wheel players will make your life much harder. But again, in close range, it can be very good. And I also think it is kind of a psychological effect. When you see all these splashes, you kind of, feel a bit intimidated. And maybe this can confuse the enemy, if you know what I mean. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're shooting in mid to long range, of course, you're going to see that there's a fall off for the splash. So basically, you need to aim a bit up in order to hit enemies. And of course, this leads to kind of inaccurate and with just a fast-paced gameplay. It just feels like, I'm probably going to use it in short range when I get it. But again, for mid range, it's a bit harder to make the best out of it and get lots of kills.
Oh dear. Rampage.
The next one that we have is the S7 Sniper. Now, in order to eliminate enemies, you need headshots. Of course, you can do 2 shots to body, but again, if you really want to limit enemies, do headshot. One thing I realized with this weapon is that actually I prefer shooting it from the hip. Although, again, depends on the map. If you're in long range and they're going to be bigger maps, you're going to be in a big advantage when you own this weapon. Of course, it's also for those who actually know how to aim properly. Not everyone aim properly. I mean, again, if you are not feel like comfortable with aiming, doing headshots and being very accurate with your shots, maybe you should look at something else. But again, in the right hands, this weapon can be very deadly. Now, another advantage of this weapon, you can zoom in twice, you get even closer, and of course, depends on the map, this can give you a big advantage if you're playing on a large map. But again, one thing to note here is a big disadvantage is when the enemies actually shoot you, it actually breaks your aim when you aim with the right click. Just something to keep in mind. You need to re-aim, and again, this can actually make you kind of miss shots because the enemies always get you out of aim by just shooting even just 1 shot at your body.
No scope. Demon. No scope. Double kill. No scope. What a shot.
Alright, guns getting better and better. In the next one, we have the CQS48 shotgun. Oh, I love this weapon. Keep in mind that although it's not as versatile, of course, as the other weapon because it's not good as for mid-range, you're going to use it mainly, of course, for short range, maybe some 1 shot, just to try to hit enemies that are fighting as other enemies for mid-range, but most of the time, you'll kind of try to do my best to close distance and try to make sure you surprise enemies to eliminate them very quickly with the shotgun. Now, the shotgun is described as this highly responsive and fast-firing tactical shotgun, devastating at close range. So overall, again, in the right hands, and if you learn how to position yourself well, you learn the map, you know where to position yourself to gain advantage using this weapon, you're gonna make many players' time very hard. So again, overall, a great weapon. Just keep in mind, of course, the disadvantage. You can't really deal lots of damage from far away, and maybe in some maps it will be less useful than others, but overall, a really fun weapon and really devastating in close range.
Field.
Alright, next is the MK50 actually the weapon that we start with, the classic weapon. And this again of the jack of all trades. Very good, overall, it's type of weapon that will be good in many situations. you just feel a bit lacking, you know, the punch, but overall it's a fully automatic assault rifle, effective at short to medium range, and yeah, overall it's the weapon that you are going to play a lot with, and its performance is again good. It's very well balanced, and again, of course, the power weapon brings you something special that can give you an advantage if you get a power weapons. That's why they are there, and of course players will fight over them to gain advantage in the battlefield. But this is a very well balanced weapon, of course, that you enjoy playing with. But again, the power weapons bring something kind of more exciting to the gunplay.
Killing spree.
Now overall, when I play with this weapon, I find myself kind of shooting more burst in order to be more accurate and be able to eliminate you know, more than one enemy than just trying to load right in middle of battle. And again, I miss quite a lot of shots with this, but overall, again, well balanced weapon. Good one.
Overshield inbound.
Alright, next one we have the Needler. Guys, I love the Needler. It's an exotic, described as this. Exotic guided munitions weapon firing crystalline shards that track, keep in mind, track, impale and detonate on soft targets. Now when I play with it, I actually find it very useful when you kind of need to shoot and hide. But again, this is really kind of stressing for the enemy because as you can see, the projectile actually home on the target. Of course, it won't home like really far away, but there's a really kind of a good distance that this projectile will actually hit enemies. So I can actually eliminate several enemies when they were close together. And yeah, this is a weapon to be afraid of. And of course, one of the big advantages is it's very good against moving targets, and you're going to see, of course, this a lot. Players are just running around, shooting, trying not to get hit, jumping up and down, and when you have this weapon, well, you have an advantage. So overall, I think it's an excellent weapon, it looks amazing, and I really enjoy playing with this.
Nightmare. Overshield inbound. Double kill.
Alrighty, and next one we have the Heatwave. I must say that this is one of my favorite weapons because it's so versatile and I really enjoy the shooting mode. Basically, you can actually shoot either horizontally or vertically, you just using the right mouse button. So you're actually changing fire modes, using like that. When you shoot, you see horizontally, this is good for maybe a group of enemies running horizontally. And the vertically, of course, enemies just jumping up, or when you want to make sure that you are dealing the most damage as possible by putting all the damage into the body of your opponent. Now, the weapon is described as this semi-automatic hard light weapon that fires 6 projectiles in a set pattern. So you can definitely see the advantage when you have different shooting modes. Basically, horizontally and vertically allows you to make sure that at least you're going to put some hits into the enemy when they are maybe far away from you, maybe just peeking from a corner, maybe if they're running horizontally fast, or maybe it's going to be a vehicle, or if you really want to maximize the damage or enemies just jumping up and down, you can actually make sure you put bullets and make sure you deal as much damage as possible. Amazing weapon. I just love this weapon. That's why it's located here in a high rank. The next one is, well, the master of mid-range, and this is the BR75. Now we describe as this 3-round burst rifle best utilized in mid-range engagement. Now I use this weapon a lot, and I can tell you, when you place yourself properly on the map, when you understand the map, you have good read on the map, when enemies are coming from, you're gonna be devastating with this weapon. This is one of the best, if not the best, mid-range weapon in the game. It's super accurate, the bursts are fast, you know, and just the shoot between bursts is fast, and you're gonna deal lots of damage. Make sure you put those headshots in, and enemies will just fall like they're nothing.
Running riot.
So as you can see, reload speed is fast, and again, if you are moving and shooting still, you're gonna confuse enemies because again, you're shooting in burst, and then might exhaust their shots, and you still can shoot at them and deal damage and win a battle. Now with the top 3, we have the MK50 Sidekick. This weapon is amazing. It is absolutely amazing, this pistol. So accurate, you have such degree of control, and it's so accurate that you ask yourself sometimes, Well, why am I actually playing with an auto rifle? When I play with this, I'm getting so many kills that I'm just staying with it. It's just that good. And it's effective both in close range and in mid range as well. So you're getting like a pistol that can shoot, even deal damage, good damage to mid range, and has almost no recoil. And it also shoots very fast. But overall, wow, this weapon, if you haven't played with this because maybe you don't know what to shoot with pistol, give it a try. This weapon is a beast.
Killing spree. Perfect.
It's also a great weapon to shoot while jumping, and also to just have a finisher with a fist if you are in close range.
Killing frenzy. Nightmare.
Now in the second place we have, well, one of my favorite weapons, probably the one that I enjoy playing the most, and this is the Pulse Carbine. Now it's a burst firing weapon that shoots plasma, and it's effective at close to medium range, and its projectile also track targets. Now I'm not sure that every player would connect with the way this weapon shoots, but it's so deadly, especially in mid range. You can play with this and confuse enemies because you can spread your shots because of the delay. So even if enemies jump up, or kind of move horizontally, you have a large degree of control of how you actually do the spread of your bullets. Which is unlike the Heatwave with only 2 modes. Here you really kind of be able to control how you spread the bullets based on enemy movement. Now the great advantage of this weapon that when you are in engagement and enemies try to avoid being hit, what you do is you try to move in the opposite direction you are actually moving horizontally, or maybe jump, so you won't be able to shoot them. But with this weapon, well, they get confused because again the bullets tell one thing and your body movement tells another thing. So it's up to you to kind of decide how you spread your projectiles, but you can really fool enemies with this. And the result is getting lots of kills in a situation maybe that you might have a disadvantage. Now this weapon is also great when you want to shoot and hide, give you a great advantage because the bullets will travel relatively slowly, and at this time you can actually hide until they reach the target. Overall, an amazing weapon, guys. Make sure you try it out.
Killing spree.
Deadly accuracy, Spartan. Overshoot inbound.
And ta-da-da-da, in the first place, MK50 Commando. This is my favorite weapon in the game. I think it's the most versatile weapon. This is a type of assault rifle that I wanted actually the BR75 to be, but it wasn't. This one feels amazing. Now this weapon is fast and accurate. It's a very kind of controllable recoil. Shooting is not super fast, but again it allows you kind of keep up with enemies that are moving horizontally. You can aim down the sight. As you can see, there's a bit of kind of a spread of the bullets when shooting in mid-range. Make sure you kind of shoot in short bursts to be as accurate as possible, and try to keep it kind of a short to mid-range distance. It is best I think for kind of a closer mid-range distance. This is when this weapon really shines, because again when it comes to long range, you're going to see that you need to better control the accuracy of this weapon, although it is possible and it performs well even in long range. But just keep in mind that it has kind of a heavy recoil relative to the other guns. But in general, I just feel that this is a type of weapon, once I get used to the recoil, and I got used to the recoil, and I know how to balance it with my mouse movement, I just find it to be very, very deadly. It has the right amount of shooting speed, so I can actually shoot well without actually spending all my bullets on moving targets. And even if I miss a few shots, I still have enough of the magazine to keep up in the battle. And again, in terms of short range, mid range, it performs amazingly well. Even again in long range, you're going to find you can put a few bullets in it, but again, this weapon is not designed for that. Of course, as I told you, the weapons depends on the map. Some of them can be better than others, but overall, in terms of versatility, I just find this weapon to be the best fit to my playstyle when I play in mid range. In some way, it felt more like kind of a machine gun, you know, kind of a light machine gun in a way. But again, this weapon is amazing, absolutely amazing, and this is my favorite weapon of all. So tell me, what do you think about this weapon? Do you think it deserves the first spot? Maybe I a bit exaggerated. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Show us your list, which are your at least top 10 weapons in Halo Infinite for those we know about. Again, this is done again in the beta of Halo Infinite, so it's not the final game. So we might have different weapons introduced later on once the game is fully released. But overall, these are the weapons. This is my list. Can hear what you think about these weapons and what's your personal favorite based on the weapons you played in the beta. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. More coming, so make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoy it and find this one useful, give a like. I see you very soon on the next video with more cool content, both Halo Infinite and lots of games and lots of cool stuff happening on this channel. So make sure you subscribe. I see you very soon on the next one. Cheers everyone. Bye bye.
Machine guns suit you, Spartan. Overshoot inbound.